we are going to discuss about the haul road design and construction. Haul road design and construction. So the basic design requirements for haul roads are truck-based hauling systems. The mine haul road network is a very critical and vital component of the production process in open cast mines. As such, underperformance of a haul road will impact immediately on mine productivity and the cost of mining. Therefore, operations safety, productivity, and equipment longevity are all dependent on well-designed, constructed, and well-maintained haul roads. The surface mine haul road is an important asset and should be in conjunction with the haul trucks using the road. The haul road should be designed to deliver a specific level of performance and its routine maintenance managed accordingly. Therefore, a well-built and well-maintained haul road will enable haul trucks to operate safely and efficiently. Poor roads pose safety problems for not just haul trucks but also all road users. A well-designed, well-constructed, and a well-maintained haul road has significant advantages for a mining operation, not the least of which are the advantages you get from a well-maintained haul road are the provision of safer driving conditions and a reduction in traffic hazards, reduced truck operating cost, faster cycle time, higher productivity, and lower cost per ton hauled. Also, a well-maintained haul road will reduce the road maintenance cost. There will be less spillage of material from the trucks. There will be less water damage due to accumulation. There will be less reduced dustiness and longer road service life will be there. Also, less stress on driver trains, less stress on the tires, less stress on the frame and suspension gear of the trucks. There will be higher asset utilization and component life, resulting in lower life cycle costs. The other advantage of well-maintained haul roads are improved tire life and rim life. This is the haul road, a very good, well-maintained haul road. You see the trucks, loaded trucks. They are moving on the haul road. The whole road is very, very well maintained. So if the haul road is well maintained, you will get a lot of advantages uh, as compared to a dusty haul road. This is the truck, this is the dumper, loaded dumper moving on the haul road. So the haul road should be well maintained, then only the tire life of the trucks will be improved and the operator will also feel comfortable to drive the haul trucks on the road. And if you see the cost, operating costs, truck operating costs, in open pit mining. Fuel is the major cost. Diesel fuel is the major cost. Repair cost is this. Operator cost is this. Car cost is this. Wear cost is this. Owning cost is this. So this is the cost breakup in the truck haulage system. Fuel is the major consumer. A lot of fuel will be needed to run the trucks, and whenever the trucks are under breakdown, you have to spend money for their repair, and you have to pay salary, wages to the operator. You have to the tires. After the tires are worn out, you have to change the tires, and there will be wear and tear of the whole road, and you have to go for maintenance. And the owning cost of the machine, the total truck operating costs consist of these parameters. So open pit mining in 250 kiloton per day at a depth of 5 meters has the record of different costs associated with truck haulage system. Associated with truck haulage system. So let us go to the detail. Let us go to the detail of this truck haulage system. So the detail of the truck haulage system will come to the haul road design. Haul road design. Haul road design. How you have to design the haul road. Let us see this. Let us see this slide. Haul road design. Okay. So the haul road design. Haul road design. How we have to design the haul roads. So we have seen in the previous classes what is a haul road. During the life of the pit, a haul road must be maintained for the access of the trucks into the mine. So this is the haul road through which you are entering to the pit. The haul roads are of two types. One is spiral haul road system. This one is spiral haul road system. From the surface, you enter to the mine through this route in the spiral way. You enter to the mine like this till you reach to the bottom of the pit. Spiral haul road system. Haul road is arranged spirally along the perimeter walls of the pit. That is called your spiral haul road system. Another system is called your switchback haul road system. Switchback haul road system or zigzag pattern on one side of the pit. So in this haul road system, switchback haul road system, from the surface you enter to the pit like this in the zigzag pattern. You reach the bottom of the pit. Okay, from the surface you move to this area, go to this mine, then again take a zigzag turn, then again take a zigzag turn till you reach to the bottom of the pit. That's why it is called the zigzag system or zig system. So what should the width of the hull road? Hull road width is a function of capacity of the road and the size of the equipment what size of dumpers you are going to use, what size of other equipments you are going to use. That will dictate the width of the hull roads. So the hull road width must be considered in the overall pit design process. So here you see the hull road effect on pit limits, hull road effect on pit limits. So this is the pit you are going and entering, and this is another uh, system of hull roads in the open cast mines. So what is the effect of the hull roads on the pit limits? Here the pit is wider, area is more, here area is less. Okay, so the effect of hull roads on the pit limits is depicted in these two diagrams. So this is the actual diagram of a hull road. So from the surface, you go to the mine, go to the bottom of the pit. So while designing the hull roads, you have to take into consideration the visibility, the stopping distance, the vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, cross section, runaway, vehicle safety provisions. So while designing the hull roads, the following considerations are taken into account. You have to take into account the visibility so that the truck driver can see uh, clearly from other side what vehicles are moving, and there should be a stopping distance. If an accident occurs, the driver should be able to stop the vehicle before the danger overtakes. And there should be proper vertical alignment of the hull road, gradient of the hull road, as well as there should be proper horizontal alignment of the hull road so that the drivers drive the vehicles safely, and the cross section of the hull road should be well designed, and there should be runaway paths for the safety of the vehicles. So these are the considerations you have to keep in your mind while designing the hull road. So while designing the hull roads, two important distances are taken into account. One is sight distance and the other one is stopping. What should the sight distance and what should the stopping distance? So sight distance means how far the driver can see, up to what distance the driver can see that from other direction some vehicles are coming. Side distance, visibility distance is very important while designing the hull road. Similarly, the stopping distance. If the driver wants to stop the vehicle, so he has to apply the brake. So what should the stopping distance to stop the vehicle? So these two says are very important for the safety of the vehicles moving on the hull road. One is sight distance, the other one is stopping distance. The vertical or horizontal curves as well as the horizontal curves are designed considering the sight distance and the stopping distance. The vertical and horizontal curves on the roadways are designed by taking into consideration the sight distance and the stopping distance. The sight distance is nothing but the extent of peripheral area visible to the vehicle operator. What is sight distance? Sight distance is the extent of peripheral area visible to the vehicle operator. That is called your sight distance. The sight distance must be sufficient to enable the vehicle traveling at a given speed to stop before reaching a hazard. Before any hazard occurs, the sight distance must be sufficient to stop the vehicle by the driver where the hazards can be eliminated. On vertical curves, if a vertical curve is the road surface limits the sight distance. On vertical curves, road surface limits the sight distance. Unsafe conditions made it while lengthening the curve. On horizontal curves, sight distance is limited by adjacent berm, dike, rock, cots, trees, etc. So the unsafe conditions remedied by laying back bank or removing the obstacles. You see, this is the vertical alignment. So the truck is moved from the downstream to the upstream. So while the truck is moving from downstream to upstream, this is the line of sight. This is the line of sight. This is the vertical curve. Okay. So the sight distance is up to the driver can see up to this point. This is the sight distance. Required stopping distance is this. This is the required stopping distance. So this is the hazard. Another truck is coming from another side. This is the hazard. So for the vertical curve here, you see this is the truck coming from the lower bench to the upper bench, and this is the sight distance. This is the required stopping distance. This is the line of sight. This is the hazard. Okay, case A and case B. See the case C. This is the truck, and this is the sight distance, and this is the required stopping distance. So this is the vertical phase or obstruction. Here, case D, this is the trees removed and slopes laid back so that the stopping distance, side distance can be improved. So side distance diagrams for horizontal and vertical curves are given in this diagram. Okay. So that is your sight distance. Then what is stopping distance? Stopping distance depends on the truck braking road slope and vehicle velocity. Stopping distances depend on truck braking capability, road slope, and vehicle velocity. Distance can be derived by maximum stop. So if the stop distance characteristic, for example, so stopping distance characteristics of vehicles of 2 lakh to 4 lakh pounds is given in this diagram. This is the stopping distance in feet. This is the velocity in miles per hour. So the slope, various slopes are given: slope 1%, slope 5%, slope 10%, slope 15%, slope 20%, slope 25%. So this diagram will tell you what should be the stopping distance in the hull roads. So the stopping distance prior to final road layout, manufacturers of vehicles that will use the road should be contacted to verify the service brake performance capability. Service brake performance capabilities. Then let's discuss about the vertical alignment. What is vertical alignment. So establishment of grades and vertical curves that allow adequate stopping distances on all segments of the hull road is dictated by the vertical alignment. What is the maximum sustained grades? Reduction in grade significantly increases vehicle uphill speed. Reduction in grade decreases cycle time, fuel consumption, stress on mechanical components, and operating costs. Reduction in grade increases shape descent speeds, increasing cycle time. The benefits of low grades offset construction costs associated with low grades. This is regarding your vertical alignment of the hull roads. So the vehicle performance chart is given in this graph. Percentage of grade and vehicle weight, speed of the driver, speed of the vehicle is given in this performance chart. Okay. So the vehicle retarded chart is given in this diagram. Percentage grade, percent grade plus rolling resistance versus the vehicle weight and speed of the vehicle. So the vertical alignment of the hull road, maximum sustained grades of the hull road. Some states limit maximum grades up to 15 to 20% and sustained grades of 10. And so construction consideration and the maximum sustained grades, property boundaries, geology, topography of the area, climate of the area must be considered on a case-by-case basis. Lower operating costs must be balanced against higher capital costs of low grades. Truck simulators and mine planning studies over the life of the mine should be used to make the determination of the appropriate grades. So let us discuss about the vertical curves, horizontal curves and vertical curves on the hull roads. Vertical curves on the hull roads. Vertical curves smooth transitions from one grade to another. Minimum vertical curve lengths are based on the eyesight, the object height, and the algebraic difference in the grade. This is the graph showing stopping distance versus vertical curve. Length of the vertical curve, stopping distance. Stopping sight distance versus the length of vertical curve in feet. For example, vertical curve controls 9 feet high height, usually minimum height for accumulated haulage trucks of 2 lakh to 4 lakh pounds of the gross vehicle weight. Then let us discuss about the horizontal alignment. Horizontal alignment. What is horizontal alignment? Horizontal alignment deals primarily with design of the curves and considers previously discussed radius of the curve, width of the curve, and side distance in addition to super elevation on the roads. The cross slopes also should be considered in the design of the hull roads. So in the hull road design, the curves are very important, super elevation is very important, and speed limit is very important. So curves, super elevation, and speed limits are properly designed in the hull roads. So super elevation grade recommendations are, but should be limited to 10% or less because of traction limitations. Depending on magnitude of the side friction forces at low speed, different values are suggested for small radius curves. Kaufman and Alt suggest that 0.04 to 0.06 fpf, basically the normal cross slope suggested by Kaufman and Alt. So these curves, super elevation, and speed limits are suggested by Caterpillar. CAT suggests higher slopes with traction cushions and 10% maximum cushion. Again, where ice, snow, and mud are a problem, there is a practical limit on the degree of super elevation. So this curve super elevation is given in this chart. Curve super elevation in percent grade to provide no lateral tire force. Negotiating curves can generate high lateral tire forces. These forces contribute to high tire wear and fly separation. Super elevating the curve helps eliminate these forces. The amount of super elevation depends on the curve's radius and the speed at which it is negotiated. The following table is a guide for providing the super elevation necessary to eliminate lateral forces. Super elevated turns present a danger when slippery. For this reason, curves super elevated over 10 should be used with caution. Unless the proper speed is maintained, matching the elevation of the curve, a vehicle may slide up the lower edge the roadway. Super elevated curves should be maintained in good tractive conditions. So this is the table. Turning radius, speed of the vehicle for 16 km per hour, 24 km per hour, 32 km per hour, 30 km per hour, speed of the truck, 48 km per hour, 56 km per hour, 64 km per hour, 72 km per hour. These are the turning radius accordingly designed in the haul roads, depending on the speed of the trucks. Recommended super elevation rates are given in this table. If super elevation is not used, speed limits should be set on curves. So radius of the curve is 50 feet, 100 feet, 150 feet, 250 feet, 300 feet, 600 feet, 1000 feet. And this is the speed of the vehicle in miles per hour. 10 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, 35 and above miles per hour. So this table serves two purposes. It not only suggests super elevation rate, but also recommends proper curve and speed relationships. For example, a vehicle traveling 30 miles per hour approaching a 150 feet radius curve super elevated 0.04 foot per foot should slow to at least 20 miles per hour. So therefore, the curves, the super elevation, and the speed limits are very important parameters in the design of the hull roads. The centrifugal forces of vehicles and the curves are counteracted by friction between the tire on the road and vehicle weight as a result of super elevation. Theoretically, with super elevation, side friction factors would be zero and centrifugal force is balanced by the vehicle weight component. To reduce tire wear, super elevation or speed limits on curves are required. The combinations of alignments avoid sharp horizontal curvature at or near the crest of a hill. Avoid sharp horizontal curves near the bottom of sustained downgrades. Avoid interactions near crest verticals and sharp horizontal curvatures. Intersections should be made flat as possible. If passing allowed, grade should be constant and long enough. The cross section of the hull road cross section. A stable road base is very important for hull road design. Sufficiently rigid bearing material should be used beneath the surface of the hull road. Base course, sub-base course, top of the road surface. The material, whatever you are using, should be of good bearing capacity. Therefore, define the bearing capacity of the material using the California bearing ratio. So for the design of the hull roads, this California bearing ratio, severe ratio is very, very important for the construction of the hull roads. So this is the chart showing the California bearing ratio, severe value. This side is sub-base thickness, and this side the severe values are given. And this is the hull road. You see the hull road here. This is the truck. Wheel load is 40,000 pounds. Wheel load is 40,000 pounds. So this is the sandy clay subgrade. This is the sandy clay subgrade having severe value 5. This is 14-inch clean sand subbase, severe value having 50. This is this is 8-inch coarse crossed rock base having severe value 80. Okay, and fine 6-inch fine crust rock surface severe value 80. So this is total depth is 28 inch. This is 14 inch. This is 6 inch. Okay, so this is the way the road is constructed. Subgrade, subbase, rock base, and rock surface. These are the construction materials used for the whole road design. So the cross slopes provide adequate drainage and range from 1/4 to 1/2 inch drop per foot of width, approximately 0.02 to 0.04 foot per foot. Lower cross slopes used on smooth surfaces that dissipate water quickly, and when ice or mud is a constant problem in the hull roads. So the cross slopes, higher cross slopes permit rapid drainage, reduce puddles, and saturated subbase, and are used on rough surfaces, gravel and crushed rock, or where mud and snow are not a problem. High cross slopes can be particularly problematic with ice or snow on high grades, 5% plus 5%. So these are the recommended rate of cross slope change. Recommended values. Recommended value The rate of cross slope change should be gradual. Vehicle speed 10 miles per hour, 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour, 30 miles per hour, 35 miles per hour. And the cross slope change in 100 feet length of haulage way is 0.08, 0.08, 0.08, 0.07, 0.06, like that. Okay. So then we'll consider about the width of the hull roads. Width of the hull roads. On straight or tangent segments, width of the hull roads depends on the vehicle width, number of 2-lane, 3-lane, 4-lane, or 6-lane roads are having different width of the roads. Recommended vehicle clearance, which ranges from 44 to 50% of vehicle width. So the width of the road depends on the vehicle width and number of lanes. So this is the minimum road design width for various size of dump trucks. So if you are using 35-ton dump truck, approximate width of the hull road is 3.7 into 4, that is 14.8. So design width would be 15 meter. And if you are using the 85-ton dump trucks, so the approximate width is 5.4 into 4 is 21.6. 23 design width will be used. And if you are using 120-ton dumpers, so approximate width of the dump trucks are 5.9 into 4, 23.6 or 25 meter is the width of the hull road. If you are using 170-ton trucks, the width of the truck is 6.4 into 4, so it becomes 25.6, means 30 meter design width of the hull roads. So nominal size in short tons, metric equivalence is 1 short ton into this K. So this is the minimum road design width for various size of dump trucks. So this is the design of a hull road. You see, this is two trucks are moving. So this is the width of the hull truck. This is the width of the road, and this is the ditch. This side ditch through which the water will flow, and this side is the berm. This is the berm, width of the berm, so that the vehicle will not fall down to the lower bench. So this is the 25-meter hull road width. Total width of the hull road is 25 meter. So ditch width is 3 meter, clearance is 2.4 meter, width of the truck is 5.4, clearance between two trucks is 2.4, width of the truck is 5.4 meter, clearance from the berm is 2.4 meter, width of the berm is 4 meter. So total width of the road is 25 meter hull road, and angle is 70 degree, angle of slope of the bench is 70 degree, and height of the bench is 10 meter. 10 meter height bench, angle of slope is 70 degree, width of the hull road is 25 meter. So truck dimensions in this case are for Lectra hull truck M85. So typical design hull road width for two-way traffic using 77.11 ton or 85 short ton trucks. Typical haulage way sections are shown in this diagram. So this is the lane 1, this is the lane 2, this is the lane 3, this is 4 lane. 4 lanes are there. 1/2 vehicle width is left this side 6 feet. This is 12 feet, 6 feet, 12 feet, 6 feet, 12 feet, 6 feet, 12 feet, 6 feet. So total width of the hull road is 78 feet. If you are going for 4 lane, 78 feet. If you are going for 3 lane, 60 feet. If you are going for 2 lane truck haulage system, 42 feet. If you are going for one truck, that is 24 feet. So this is the typical haulage way sections. So width of the hull roads depends on the berm height, and width as a function of vehicle size and material type. Beaches added to basic recommendations. Runaway provisions may also be added to width. Road wider and curves because of overhang. Minimum turning radius considered on curves should be exceeded. So this is the haulage way, widths and curves. This is the curved road, curved road, curved road. So this is the way the trucks are moving. So this is the width of the road. Okay, this is the width of the road, and uh, width of the road W is equal to 2 times U plus FA plus FB plus Z plus C. C is equal to Z is equal to U plus FA plus FB divided by 2. U is the track width of vehicle, center to center tires in feet. FA is width of front overhang. FB is width of rear overhang. C is the total lateral clearance. Z is the extra width allowance due to difficulty of driving on the curves. So vehicle weight classification, turning radius in feet given in this chart. So in the haul roads, so you should the safety provisions, safety berm, triangular or trapezoidal made by using local materials. You construct the berms, safety berms. The safety berm stands at natural angle of repose of construction material. They redirects vehicle onto roadway, minimum height at rolling radius of the tires. The berms, the safety berms, larger boulders packed with earthen material near vertical face deflects vehicle for slight angle of incidence. Problems with damage and injury, availability of boulders, minimum height of boulder at height of tire, allowing AC's impact. So how to construct the forms given here. Then there should be run away provisions on your hull roads. Run away provisions on the hull road. With adverse grades, some safety provision should be integrated to prevent runaway vehicles. Primary design consideration is required, spacing between protective provisions. Driver must reach a safety provision before truck traveling too fast to maneuver. Maximum permissible speed depends on truck design conditions and operator efficiency. So the runaway provisions are done in the following manner. Runaway provisions. Maximum permissible speed of the vehicles, equivalent downgrade and speed at brake failure determine distance between runaway truck safety provisions. For example, at an equivalent downgrade of 5% and a maximum speed of 40 miles per hour, speed at failure is 10 miles per hour. Provision spacing is 1000 feet. If the speed is 20 miles per hour, provision spacing is 800 feet. This is given by Kaufman and Alt. These are the runaway precautions. These are the runaway precautions given in these diagrams. Runaway precautions. Okay. This is the downhill. This is the downhill with the road barrier, the edge barrier. Okay. So this is the dimensions given for the runaway precautions while driving the escape lanes. So median runaway vehicle provision berms. Median runaway vehicle provision berms. Vehicle straddles collision berm and rides vehicle to stop. Made of unconsolidated screened fine materials. Critical design aspects spacing between berms and height of the berm. Height governed by the height of undercarriage of the vehicle, and wheel track governed by the largest vehicle. Then your median runaway vehicle provision berms requires maintenance in freezing conditions, agitation to prevent damage to the vehicle, may cover berm in high rainfall areas. Then you have to construct the escape lanes also in the hull road. Good tool for stopping runaway, but expensive to construct. Entrance from road is important. Spacing, horizontal, vertical curve, and super elevation are all considered in the design of the escape lanes. Deceleration mainly by adverse grade and high rolling resistance material. The escape lanes length of a function of grade and speed at entrance and rolling resistance. Stopping by level section, medium berm, median berm, sand or gravel or mud pits, road bumps or manual steering. These are the escape lanes designed on your all roads. Then the most important aspect of hull road is maintenance. Maintenance of the hull roads. The road surface is deformed by the constant pounding of haulage vehicles. A good road maintenance program is necessary for the safety of the people, safety of the vehicle, and mining economics also. So what are the safety considerations you have to take into account for the hull roads? Dust should not be allowed to go to the atmosphere from the hull roads. There should not be dust on the hull road. There should not be potholes on the hull road. No rods should be there. No depressions are there on the hull road. No bumps are there on the hull road. And other conditions can impede vehicular control. So the hull roads should be free from dust, free from potholes, free from rods, free from depressions, free from bumps, so that the vehicle can move safely on the hull road. So you have to also take into account the economic considerations. The wear on every component is increased when a vehicle travels over a rough surface. If the vehicle brakes constantly, unnecessary lining wear occurs as well. If you apply brakes constantly, unnecessary lining of the wears occur as well. So therefore, you should be very careful while applying the brakes. And in the hull roads, you have to control the dust. A lot of dust may be generated, so you have to control the dust on the hull road. Dust may infiltrate brakes, air filters, and other components of the machinery. Therefore, it is necessary that you should control the dust. The abrasive effect of dust will result in costly cleaning or replacement of these items. And the hull road is deteriorated because of many factors. Deterioration factors of the hull roads are weather. In rainy season, the road is damaged, vehicles follow a similar path, and if the material is spilled on the hull road, so these are the deterioration factors responsible for damage of the hull roads. The motor graders, these are the motor graders used for the construction of the hull roads. The motor grader should be used to maintain the cross slopes, remove the spilling materials, and to fill and smooth the surface depression as they occur on the hull roads. So the motor graders are to be used for leveling the haul roads regularly, to remove the spills and to fill and smooth the depressed surfaces. And there should be proper road drainage system to avoid overflow. Roadside ditches and culverts should be periodically cleaned. Avoid erosion or saturation of sub-base materials so that the roads are not damaged because of the water flowing on the roads. So road drainage is very, very important aspect. So thank you. So today we have discussed about the design of the haul roads in surface mines. So all these parameters you have to take into account while designing the haul roads. Thank you for your patient hearing. Thank you. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.